All right, hey VC, I'm Jamie. Welcome back. We're back with another video. This time it's a thread response video to a challenge. James Griffiths has put out a 10 album link challenge where you have to link 10 albums, and then the 10th album has to link back to the first album presentation. So if you want to see a great response to it, check out Edwin's Pretty Green Vinyl Guy channel. He does a great, flawless response. Some of the artists featured on Edwin's are going to show up on this one. And I don't know if this is a great album link, but it is what it is. So let's get right to it. So we're going to start off with once upon a time, there was a producer by the name of George Martin. This is the George Martin box set produced by George Martin, 50 years of recordings. So George Martin produced a number of groups over the years, including Cheap Trick. And in fact, George Martin produced this album, All Shook Up, for Cheap Trick. Now, 3 of these members would go on to do some recording sessions with John Lennon, initially intended for the Double Fantasy album. One of the main tracks was I'm Losing You, which did show up on the album, but when they put it on the album, they used different musicians for the sessions. But you can find that Cheap Trick version, if you will, of I'm Losing You on this John Lennon box set. So John Lennon would work with a number of producers over the years, including Phil Spector. Phil Spector produced this album for John Lennon, Rock and Roll, and this is Phil Spector. This is taken from the Phillies album collection, which is a great little CD box set. Producer Phil Spector. Phil Spector would work with John's buddy George Harrison. Phil Spector producing George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. Now, George Harrison would work with Bob Dylan, and both would appear on the album and concert, the concert for Bangladesh, both Bob Dylan and George Harrison. And then they would both go on to, of course, appear in the Traveling Wilburys, and in the Traveling Wilburys with Jeff Lynne from ELO. Jeff Lynne would then go on to work with the surviving Beatles to produce Free as a Bird. And from Free as a Bird, the Beatles would, as the remaining Beatles, or Beatles Inc., would go on to continue with reissues, and then they would work with producer Giles Martin. And one of the first projects was The Beatles' Love, and subsequently all the Beatles reissues are under the production of Giles Martin, and Giles Martin is the son of George Martin, which brings us right back to the start. That's my entry, kind of a producer's edition, but thanks very much. Take care. Bye-bye.